All counselors are present. Item 3 is special orders of the day and announcements. 3A is moving up item 12B of the agenda. 12B is consideration of the resolution 2023-012, appointing Jerry R. Gabrielatos as the next city manager for the city of Beloit. Sorry.
Thank you, Jerry, for your kind words. Let's say congratulations and let's give him a hand. Next item, 3B.
3B is introduction of newly hired and promoted employees.
Attorney Krieger, please introduce our department heads who have been newly hired or promoted.
First up, Assistant Chief Tom Stigler. Good evening and thank you. We have 3 new hires tonight. I'd like to start out with 2 probationary police officers. They started the academy today, right? Yes, sir. Yes, up at Blackhawk Tech. So we have Tyler Bailey. He started out with us as an intern last year, I think. Yep, and he went through the application process, and then we have Kenneth Gigsteed. So welcome to both of them. And then we have Hope Phillips. She is our new one of our new records clerks. So we're very happy to have all 3 of them on board.
Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Next up, Deputy Chief Griffin.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam President and Commissioners, for allowing me to introduce some of my new hires. I got 4 new hires for the city of Beloit. Chief Pease was not able to make it tonight, so I was able to step in for him. We have 2 of them here today. The first one is going to be Todd Farley. He's from Missouri, and he's got 30-plus years of fire service experience before he even gets to us, so it's really exciting to have that kind of experience coming to our city. The next one we have is William Hyde. Again, both of these are deputy chiefs. William also has over 30 years of experience and very local from Rockford area. So it was on 11. They had 11 fire stations that he was in charge of down there as a district chief. So the experience level that these 2 bring from outside the city is great. And third, we had another battalion chief, Chad Enix, as an internal candidate. He has 21 years of experience with the city of Beloit Fire Department. And all 3 of them went through a hiring process through GovHR, and all 3 of them excelled through this process. So, and then last we have a new firefighter, Trent Gerber. He's a firefighter paramedic. So as soon as we get him trained up on how Beloit Fire Department does stuff, he actually will be able to ride as a firefighter paramedic immediately. So another great asset to the city of Beloit. We won't have to send anybody to paramedic school or firefighting classes. Just get right on the fire truck and go as soon as they learn how the Beloit Fire Department does it. So I have 4 really exciting hires for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
And last up, Director Julie Christensen.
Unfortunately, my new hires aren't here tonight. But TJ Nee, who has been a city employee since 2014, he was our MPO coordinator, where I think he did a great job. Prior to that, he was a principal at Batterman's for a number of years, so he's got over 20 years of planning experience in both the public and private sector, and we're thrilled to see him move up into this kind of opportunity, and we will be filling the MPO coordinator job. So I will be up here again when we fill that position. And then Don Driscoll is our new transit supervisor. He comes to us from Morgan Transportation in Janesville. He's a Beloit native, but right now he lives in McChesney Park. He's excited to join the City of Beloit Transit team, and we are excited to have him. And TJ is also born and raised in Beloit and currently resides in the Beloit area. And we are excited to have both of them in these leadership positions.
Thank you. And they're not here tonight, but we welcome them to our team as well. It's always wonderful when we have our Beloit natives and people that are from Beloit working in these positions, and also people who are locally here. So before we move ahead, if we could have all the new hires to please stand, because we have a couple, or at least one that's been here they came half an hour early, and I just think we should recognize them. Could you all please stand and we can give you some applause? Congratulations. You may be seated. You're certainly welcome to stay.
Item 4 is public hearings. There are none. Item 5 is public comments.
It's doing my. It goes on and on. I apologize. I'm having a little technical difficulty. We have reached the point on our agenda for residents to speak to the council about issues that are coming before us and may come before us in the future. Council members may not act on any request at this meeting, but may refer a speaker to staff for assistance. We ask that you please hold your comments to 3 minutes or less and refrain from personal attacks of any kind. Public comment is a courtesy, and we expect everyone to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Speakers are asked to complete a public comment form. Madam Clerk, were there any public comment forms submitted prior to this meeting?
Yes, we have 5. We're going to start with Cindy Morse, 118 South Adams Street.
Can you please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please?
Hi, my name is Cindy Morse, and I live in Illinois, but my family and my kids go to the movie theaters. And I, for one, we got one that's 14. And you know, I have a lot of foster children, and one of the things they've been around their whole life is drugs and alcohol. And that's the one place that's their first right of freedom to go have mom and dad drive them to the theater. And I don't feel comfortable with the children being around it all the time. There should be a place where we can take them that there's no alcohol, no drugs. You can't even do that in the city park. And one of the other things, if it passes, how are they going to monitor who has alcohol and who doesn't unless it's in a private adults-only room? Because in the dark, how are you going to police that? Those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Debbie Fisher, 416 College Street.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Debbie Fisher. I'm with Youth to Youth for Change, 416 College Street, and we're a program of family services. So I'm back here again. I'm here to speak once again on the ordinance proposed for classic cinema theaters. As stated in other meetings, Youth to Youth, isn't against this. We're very proud of the positive measures that were originally put into place. But it seems like every city council meeting I come to, that's being weakened, and things are actually going out of place. And so we discussed this at our coalition meeting. The executive board talked again, and they asked me to come forward with a few recommendations. First of all, wristbands. We really think those need to be in place. They ensure that everyone that has an alcoholic drink has been ID'd. This is a measure that was taken out, and we're concerned about that. Everyone that receives alcohol should be ID'd. We know that there was a concern that people should be able to buy 2 or 3 drinks and take them back to the other people, but you can't ID them. And once someone takes a drink into a darkened theater, it'll be difficult to see who received that drink. By everyone being ID'd, everyone, not a husband for a wife, but everyone being ID'd, that will ensure that when a staff member goes in there and they see that wristband, they'll know that they had been. Cups versus cans. We're concerned that the alcohol will not be placed in a specific cup. It's our belief that once someone knows what kind of alcohol is being sold, what kind of beer, and you guys know when people go to movies, sorry, but it's true, people take candy and they take soda pop in. That item of beer might be taken in as well. And how are we going to know that that was bought there or that was brought into? A specific cup would help with that, as it has helped in other theaters that have done this as well. And then our last concern is a discrete area for sales. We feel that it's necessary to sell away from where popcorn and soda is being sold. Even if there's a plastic thing put between, it's still the kids are coming up, buying the pop and soda, and they're seeing beer sold. This will assist with the denormalization of alcohol and send a message that this is an adult-only activity and the theater is responsibly checking IDs. There's been a lot of conversation about this being the same as any other place, such as ballparks, but the movie theater is different than a ballpark. When you buy alcohol in a ballpark, it's wide open. You can see everyone. In a movie theater, they're going into a darkened room, and you don't know what's going to happen. We truly hope you will put these measures back into place for the good of our community's youth. We're looking forward to collaborate with the movie theater. We really are. We're happy to give them an ID checker, and we'll even provide them with wristbands if they want that. We know everyone's concerned, the movie theater, us, you, about the well-being of our youth, and working together and putting measures such as these in place is for the good of our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next is Tori Johnson, 2799 Cranston.
Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Tori Johnson, 2799 Cranston Road with the Beloit Theater. So I just want to start by thanking each of you for kind of all the consideration you've already thought of, how much time we've put into this language, and I understand everybody's concerns and everyone has their opinion. And listening to you last week kind of say, you know what, I don't want to have to redo this in 2 weeks or a month or 6 months when we realize we put something in place that might not be right. And so it took me kind of going back and really reading every line in the proposed code, like word for word, and understanding it. And I guess what I'm up here tonight to ask or bring up really is the proposed language in the training section of this ordinance in 31.28. I think it's section 2A, kind of 0.5 through 0.10. The current liquor code has absolutely no limitations on specific industry standards for the training. In fact, the only industry standard that I can find in the liquor code right now is requiring a food establishment to also carry a restaurant license in addition to alcohol if that's what they're going to sell. Beloit Council as a whole, you guys have done a fantastic job allowing businesses to operate and create the regulations and the rules that work for them. With the current state and local code, every server has to have their state training, and locally, you have to have your operator's license to even be able to sell alcohol. So it's already in the code, and it's how it's managed currently with every other establishment, whether it's a bar, a restaurant, a sporting event, a bowling alley, anything. Of course, we have ongoing training, but by having this precise training requirement for only the theater industry seems onerous. And so I just hope that tonight, while we're doing this again, we can really read through each point and see how it can really limit an establishment. An example of our concern would be point 7 on page 3, where it states you have 30 days from employment to complete your training. Our industry is unique that we don't generally hire somebody just to sell alcohol. We have many positions that we hire for, and if we see the potential, we may decide to promote them to liquor sales. We want to know that an employee is responsible, trustworthy, and that we trust them with such a great responsibility before we just allow it. But the way the code is currently written, we would not be able to do that. We'd lose that ability. Another example is in that same section on page 3, 9 through 11, where it's requiring training every 6 months. It's requiring you to document all of your training. Again, being specific only to the theater industry, and it's excessive. All of these training specifications are not needed in this current code because training is already incorporated for all of the liquor license holders. Removing this section does make sense, and at the very least, we just ask for the consideration of how some of that language is presented so that it might be removed or altered. An example is, instead of 30 days from employment, could it be 30 days from being permitted to sell alcohol? Or consider an annual review of materials, knowing that we introduce materials as it becomes available, or allow training to be individual or a group setting, not just at a group meeting. And it is possible that I have overthought this and I'm reading too much into each little point. But kind of again, after we left that last meeting, I really took to heart what you said of, we're not going to rush this, we're going to take our time. And I just don't want to have to, backtrack when we realize that something being proposed may not actually be practical upon execution. So I know there's concerns. I understand. Again, I appreciate everything that you guys have already done. I'm here to answer any questions you might have, but thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
We now have Anna Cousins, 1914 Wisconsin Avenue.
Can you please state your name and address for the record, please?
Sure. Anna Cousin, 1914 Wisconsin Avenue. I just want to begin and say good evening, council members and Madam President. A lot of what my concern is probably going to be repeated from other local residents. And again, I just want to speak of the importance of restrictions that may be in place at the movie theater. My concern isn't that of the license itself, it's making sure that the license holder is doing everything safely and responsibly for the community. I've been a 26-year-long Beloit resident. I also have a 13-year-old son who frequents the movie theater, so this is very important to me. My concern is without any restrictions, beverages can easily be snuck in. You put it in your purse, you put it in your pocket. And I have seen myself being at the movie theaters, an employee will walk in, they kind of scan the room, and, for a few seconds they walk out. What's easily done is you could see an alcoholic beverage, you see that person has a wristband, and there's no question there if that alcohol beverage they have in their cup holder is indeed, they can have that being of age. So I think that would really eliminate any questions or, any further, concerns that way. Without the wristbands or without knowing that somebody has been ID'd, I think that's something that could and possibly, probably will be done as far as sneaking alcohol in. Also, I know, again, just from having a teenage son, a lot of things like pranks, challenges. I can see, at the end of the theater, the lights are dim. All these alcoholic beverages are now going to be left with nobody to monitor them in the cup holders of the individuals who are of age. So here's a group of 13, 14-year-olds, and they're like, hey, I dare you to chug that. And that's something that could happen. Again, how is that going to be monitored as far as you've been ID'd, you are of age, now you are responsible for making sure that no youth get their hands on these beverages that are going to be left in the movie theater without any monitoring. So that is another concern that I have. And what happens is when we have wristbands, when we have other containers for beverages, when we have another area where these beverages will be sold, we are eliminating concerns. We're making this easier for the establishment to make sure that things are being done safe and they're being done responsibly. And they'll continue to, serve the community as well as, knowing that people can bring their children and their families into this theater and know that things are safe there. So that's my main concern. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Susan Adams, 703 Milwaukee Road.
Can you please
Hi,
say your
I'm
name and
back
address
again.
for the record, please?
Oh, Susan Adams, 703 Milwaukee Road, Beloit. I am here for the League of Women Voters, and we want to comment on a couple of items. First, thank you for all your work on the city manager search, and we congratulate Mr. Gabrielatos, wherever you are, on being selected. You included the community both at the very beginning last summer and again last Friday night. At Friday's meeting, you explained how to provide feedback on the candidates and told us what the next steps would be. With the candidates' presentations and the community questions, the main topics were included and people could compare candidates and ask the council to follow up on topics they felt had not been addressed to their satisfaction. So thank you, and we look forward to working with Mr. Gabrielatos. I hope I pronounced his name right. We also want to thank and congratulate President Regina Duncan for sending Ordinance 3756 back to the Alcohol Beverage License Control Committee before it came to the council on January 3rd, and then again to send its revision back to them for further review and comment. It's gratifying to know that you take volunteers' work on these boards, committees, and commissions very seriously. And I know that they met last week and they have forwarded a recommendation to you. Thank you again for your attention and following such good processes.
Thank you very much. Are there any members of the public who did not sign up who wish to address the council this evening? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, Eric Newnham, 2799 Cranston. Very excited to be here this evening, and congratulations to our new city manager. You guys made a great selection, and we're excited to have you join us here in Beloit, and look forward to your leadership and participation in our community. So welcome aboard. We just wanted to comment on one of the things that was just mentioned a little bit ago. So when people come in to a restaurant and they purchase a beverage, and they may leave that on their table. They go to a bowling alley, they may leave that there. It's not unique to a theater that someone might leave a beverage sitting there. In most cases, in our other properties, people throw away their own trash. That's the same case in Beloit. With alcoholic beverages, usually they're consumed earlier on in the film. So we think that there's not really an equivalency to people leaving it there any different than it is at a restaurant or a bowling alley. So that was our only point. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public who did not sign up who wish to address the council this evening? Madam Clerk, were there any public comments submitted by email?
There were.
Public comment is now closed.
There were. There were.
Oh, there were. I apologize.
That's okay.
So for the record, can you go ahead and read those, please?
Sure. To whom it may concern, I am a board member of Youth to Youth for Change, and I am very concerned about the recent decision to sell alcohol at the cinema. The cinema has become a place of gathering, again, for Beloit, which is very nice to see. We have adults that take part. We also have many youth that visit on a regular basis. I feel that alcohol could create many difficulties for your cinema. Adults buying for underage youth, anywhere there is alcohol, there is violence. If the Beloit Cinema does indeed intend to sell alcohol, I truly hope that the adults have some form of ID that they have to wear, so no youth will be served by mistake. The selling of alcohol should also be separate from the regular concessions, so people will have time to card individuals, and there will also be a limit to the number of drinks a person is able to purchase per show to one. This may hopefully keep your problems to a minimum. I hope you take all these comments into consideration. I am a concerned citizen as well as a concerned parent and grandparent who would like to see our remodeled and enjoyable form of entertainment unchanged and safe for all ages. Thank you, Laura Anastasi, RSVP Intergenerational and Foster Grandparent Program Director. With the City Council meeting being moved tonight, I am unable to attend in person, but I read the attachment to the agenda on Ordinance 3765. I am on the ABLCC. I agree with the notes 1, 2, and 3 from our meeting on January 10th, which were 1, the removal of the wristband requirement removes an important piece of the ordinance. Number 2, the ordinance does not address the size of the alcohol beverage being sold. Limit to less than 24 ounces is desired. Number 3, the changes made to the ordinance basically cuts any precautions in the ordinance. Original regulations went on a long way to protect the public. Member of the committee is not sure if there's an adequate staff to enforce the ordinance. And I agree with the first part of number 4 to a point. Separate seating area was a suggestion by a committee member and not a recommendation to be added to the ordinance. And number 4, I urge the City Council in the strongest terms possible to reverse course and reconsider the ordinance as it was originally prepared. But we did not say, including the items requested by ABLCC at its December's meeting. Greg Schneider, member of the ABLCC.
Were there any other public comments submitted?
There were not.
The public comment is now closed.
Item 6 is consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a councilor member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Thank you. Would any councilor like anything removed from the consent agenda? May I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda, their items, which include 6A through 6G. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Terrell, seconded by Councilor Blakely. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
Item 7 is licenses. 7A is consider an application for a new Class B intoxicating liquor license and a new Class B fermented malt beverage beer license for BOLA 42 LLC, doing business as Liberty House Grill, located at 1901 Liberty Avenue, Beloit. Ashley Barth, agent.
Okay, our city clerk treasurer, Marcy Granger, will present on this item.
BOLA 42 LLC, doing business as Liberty House Grill, is in the process of purchasing Liberty House Grill from Arbine Ursini and Beckham Lumani, and they have submitted the alcohol relinquish form. They're applying for the new Class B intoxicated liquor license and the new Class B fermented malt beverage beer license. The ABLCC voted on January 10th to recommend approval 4-0.
At this time, may I please have a motion to approve the resolution?
So move.
Moved by Counselor Terrell. Is there a second? Second by Counselor Levy. Are there any questions or discussion? At this time, we have a motion and a second to approve this resolution. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
Item 8 is ordinances. 8A is consideration of ordinance number 3765 to amend section 31.14 sub 3 and 31.30 sub 1 and to create section 31.28 of the Code of the General Ordinances of the City of Beloit pertaining to nudity, prohibited in licensed establishments, and movie theater licensee requirements and restrictions. Third reading.
This is a third reading. Attorney Krieger will present on the substitute amendment that the City Council, as we asked her to prepare. So can you go ahead, Attorney Krieger?
Sure. At the January 3rd meeting, you asked me to prepare a substitute amendment that took into consideration many of the comments that you had made during that meeting. And so you'll find in the packet substitute amendment number 1, which removes the wristband requirement. It does not address the size of the alcoholic beverage. And it removes the sticker requirement, and then the limitation to service of alcohol for a 1-drink maximum was also removed, so there's no limitation. I was additionally asked, after I prepared substitute amendment number 1, which is in the packet, to prepare a substitute amendment number 2, which puts back in the wristband requirement. So for ease of processing this evening, you will be looking for a motion to approve substitute amendment number 1 or a motion to approve substitute amendment number 2, provided that's where you end up after your discussion this evening. I stand ready to answer any questions that you have while you're discussing and debating the matter.
Okay. At this time, councilors, you have the information in front of you, so may I please have a motion to approve either the ordinance as presented or the second, is that, it's on, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
I move to approve sub amendment number 2.
Okay. I have a motion to amend, for the amendment number 2 is by Counselor Terrell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Forbeck. Are there any questions or discussion?
Yes, Madam President.
We'll take Counselor Blakely, and then we'll go over to Counselor Day.
Okay. Ms. Krieger, could you please explain the key difference between substitute amendment number 1 and number 2? I get it, but I don't think any members of the public have heard it stated.
Sure. Substitute amendment number 1 removed the wristband requirement. Substitute amendment number 2 puts that requirement back in. Anybody that's going to be possessing or consuming alcohol will be required to have a wristband if you adopt substitute amendment number 2. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now we'll go to Counselor Day.
All right, thank you. Just, I wanted to respond to Debbie, who came up and spoke. This second amendment addresses the wristbands, and there's cups, and we also have a discrete area to sell the alcohol. So all 3 of those that you mentioned are in this. One thing that's new is you brought up the training, the additional training. So I don't know if this adds belts and suspenders to what is already required by code, state code. So it's something we probably should consider. I don't really know what it means besides what Tori said.
I can speak to that a bit. If you're going to have a license in the state of Wisconsin, you have to take the responsible beverage course. Not everybody that sells alcohol is required to, because you don't have to have a license in order to sell alcohol. You can be directly overseen by someone who has a license. So the training requirements were put in place to make sure that those that are selling alcohol have had that training. So the woman that spoke during the public comment indicated that all employees would have to take that training, and that's not what the ordinance says. It says that those that are selling alcohol have to have that training. I think that those training requirements make sure that all of the staff at the movie theater are comfortable with the sale of alcohol in the building, making sure they understand what an overserved person looks like, and make sure that underage alcohol is not occurring on the premise. I think that training is a good thing for that business to have, to ensure that everybody is up to speed on what the law requires and what their policies are in regard to the sale of alcohol. So it's not duplicative of state law, because not everyone that will be selling alcohol has to have that license. That's only required for those that obtain the license.
So what we're saying, just clarification, is anybody that sells alcohol at the theater has to have the training,
Correct.
where the state does not say that.
Right. You don't have to have so the state is saying you have to have a license.
But you don't have the
I'm sorry.
training.
The state, yes, correct.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have the license, you have to have the training. But because there's an exception in the law that says you can still sell alcohol with someone else who has a license that's overseeing you, this ensures that anybody that's selling alcohol has that training.
So we're voting on this, so I guess I would ask if that's okay, because we're voting on this, so you're going to be bound to what's written here, which I don't have a problem with. And for open discussion here amongst us, I don't think it is an issue. We want everybody to be trained that's going to serve the alcohol. I think we've all agreed to that. So that's where I
Thank you,
stand.
Councilor Day.
Yep.
Councilor Terrell.
Hey, Beth, would you mind also explaining to the public the part where there was a concern about setting up a bar on the floor in the lobby or something like that?
Sure. At the last meeting, I had mentioned at the end of one of my comments that the serving or the consumption of alcohol has to be in the auditorium. The section of the code that I was referring to indicates there can't be bar stools or seats at the bar service area. So you can have or consume alcohol in those other areas. My intention was most people are probably going to be drinking them in the auditorium, but you're concerned about someone walking to and from the theater, if they do take a sip, would not be in violation of the ordinance as it's written.
Okay.
Any other comments or discussion? Councilor Anderson.
Yeah, I just want to thank staff and also the Alcohol Commission. I know this was a lot of back and forth. This took a while, but I feel like we're all coming to a conclusion that we're all comfortable with. And I just really, I know this has probably not been the most fun process for you, Beth, but thank you for bearing with us and making several subsequent amendments and doing 3 readings with us. I think we got it right. Thank you.
Councilor Levy.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to also echo that to staff, the theater people, the citizens that were here in the council, because this has been a great discussion, a long discussion. We're on the 3rd reading, and I think if we continue to talk about it, we might be on number 10 before we get done. For me, I struggled with this when it was first presented, and I still struggle with it. By being out by the highway, yes, we have ball diamonds. I think her name is Tori. She's. I think I even told Eric. I said she knows her stuff. She's good, and I hear that. But I still struggle with it. We're out by the highway. As the lady said this evening, this is where kids go unattended. We drop the kids off to go to the movie theater. Yes, you can drop them off to the Ball Diamond. You can drop them off to the other places, but 9 times out of 10, they're there with the family. Now, we drop them off at the movie theater. Yes, I agree. There are people that bring stuff in their purses or pockets or whatever. We don't know if people are bringing alcohol in now, mixing it in with the pop that they have. We don't know. So there's no way to tell that. So I have really struggled with this. I still don't feel 100% comfortable that this is something that we definitely need. Right now, to me, this is a need, and this is a want and not a need. But I just think that I'm not there yet. I'm not, and I got to tell Erica, this is not personal. I'm not 100% sold. And for me to go down that road and say, voting in favor of it, I got to be 100% sold, and just in my gut, I'm not feeling it. For some reason, whenever we talk about it, I agree. I think we finally got the ordinance with exactly where we want it, but I'm still not there. So I just wanted to make those comments as we hear counselors say we finally got it right, we're ready to go. But I had to say that because we may have it right, but I'm not ready to go. But I just wanted to thank everyone who presented on this issue. It was passionate, and we could tell everyone's passion. And the dialogue that we had up here was great because it helped a lot of us think outside the box, outside of the norm. And I appreciate that. We challenged each other, and I appreciate that. And Beth challenged us. And so that's what I like about it. But just in my heart of hearts, I'm not there yet. I'm just not there yet. Don't ask me why I'm not there, because I don't know. I'm just not there, Kevin.
Okay. I just have a final comment to make. First, I want to thank the ABLCC because by us getting feedback from you, that allowed us and gave us the chance to consider. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you to staff. And thank you to both parties who've been working together during this process. And I just want to make a very clear statement. The council wants children and families to be safe at the movie theaters. I hope that no matter what, that the residents of this community understand that. And it is our hope that Youth to Youth and the cinema staff will continue to collaborate and partner together, because that's the only way we're going to keep Beloit as best as it is. So I just want to make that comment. That said, at this time, there is a motion to approve the amended ordinance as presented. All in favor? Excuse me? For clarification.
I want to clarify, you have a motion to approve substitute amendment number 2. Not the substitute amendment number 1 that was presented in the packet. So you have okay.
So at this time, there is a motion to approve amendment number 2. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
Item 8B is consideration of ordinance number 3770, amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan for the property located at 113 Bluff Street.
This is the second reading of the ordinance. Attorney Krieger, will you please provide clarification?
Certainly. I just wanted to make it clear, you have ordinance 3770 in front of you. There was a why don't I give a moment for the room to clear before I finish?
It keeps going on. Yeah, I've been leaving it on. Can I just say that
better.
again? Because my mic, I'm having technical difficulty. I don't know why it's coming on and on. Yeah, it turns off in the middle, so I apologize to the audience. Attorney Krieger will provide us with clarification about the voting process for this particular item, and this is item 8B.
8B. And so the Plan Commission recommended denial of the ordinance. So just from a procedural standpoint, you would get the matter on the floor by having a motion to approve. If you want to approve the ordinance, you would vote yes. If you want to deny the request for the ordinance, you would vote no.
May I please have a motion to approve the ordinance as presented? Is there a motion?
I so move.
Moved by Vice President Forbeck. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Anderson. Are there any questions or discussion? I just wanted to add that I will follow the recommendation from the Plan Commission. At this time, we have a motion to approve the ordinance as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Nay. The motion fails.
Item 8C is consideration of ordinance number 3768, amending the zoning district map for the property located at 113 Bluff Street.
And this is the same property of the zoning district amendment. Attorney Krieger will provide us clarification about the voting process for this item.
Yes, it would be the same circumstances as the last item. So you have a motion to approve to get the matter on the floor. A motion voting yes would approve the ordinance. A motion voting, or a vote voting no, would deny the ordinance request.
Thank you. May I please have a motion to approve the ordinance as presented?
I so move.
Moved by Vice President Forbeck. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Anderson. Any further questions or discussion? At this time, there is a motion to approve this ordinance as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. I'll take that back. I'll take back my vote.
Okay. So we have.
Perhaps you could call for the vote one more time we're clear on the slate, and we have a motion to approve the item, and you're calling for a vote, Madam President.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
The motion passes. No. I mean, the motion fails. We've had a lot of long nights. Okay, next item, please.
8D is consideration of ordinance number 3774 to amend various sections of chapters 6, 7, 8, 9, 22, and 27 of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit pertaining to updates to the Fire Prevention Code, Property Maintenance Code, Plumbing Code, Building Code, Wireless Communications Code, and City Water Utility Code.
This is a second reading of the ordinance. May I please have a motion to approve the ordinance as presented?
I so
Moved by Vice President Forbeck. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Blakely. Are there any questions or discussion? At this time, we have a motion to approve this ordinance as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
Item 8E is consideration of ordinance number 3777, establishing downtown parking time limitations on West Grand Avenue.
At this time, our city engineer, Scott Prendeville, will give us a presentation.
Ed Jacobson with Hendricks Commercial Properties has requested that 4 parking stalls adjacent to 108 and 110 West Grand, that's in front of Blue Collar Coffee and Beloit Bicycle Company, be converted to 15-minute time limit parking. While reviewing the Index of Special Locations, staff noticed that the time limits established in the Index of Special Locations do not match the time limit signage that has been placed along this section of West Grand. This ordinance is to establish the 15-minute time limit parking requested by Hendricks Commercial Properties, as well as to amend the Index of Special Locations to match the timed parking stalls that are currently signed in the field. This item did go before the Traffic Review Committee, and it was voted unanimously to recommend approval of this ordinance. Engineering staff had also reached out to Downtown Beloit Association, and they were in support of this ordinance as well.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
One more thing. Hendricks Commercial Properties has asked that you consider suspending the rules and acting on this item tonight.
Okay. Okay. This is a first reading of this ordinance. Is there a motion to lay the ordinance over for a second reading?
To suspend the rules.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to suspend the rules by Councilor Levy, seconded by Vice President Forbeck. Are there any questions or discussion?
Yes, Madam President.
Go ahead, Councilor Blakely.
I just wondered, I'm sorry I didn't jot down the technical name for it, but when you talked about the 15-minute limit, this will apply, when it comes up, of course, this will apply to other parking areas of the city? Or, I know tonight we'll be voting on specifically this one area.
So yes, there's a section of the Index of Special Location
That's it.
that marks out or designates where all the 15-minute parking stalls in the city are, with separate sections of that same ordinance that talk about 30-minute parking, 1 hour, 2 hour. But this specific one is for four stalls in front of Blue Collar Coffee and Beloit Bicycle Company.
That helps. Thanks for the clarification.
Next, Councilor Anderson.
Yeah, Scott, I just have a question about why they're requesting us to move to a second reading tonight.
There is a representative with Hendricks Commercial Properties, if you want to ask him that question.
Yeah.
Can you please state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Ed Jacobson. I live at 603 Tigger Court, Milton, and I work at Hendricks Commercial Properties. And thank you, council members and Madam President. Council Member Anderson, to address your question, it was in the interest of having a little bit of expedited time in receiving these stalls for the sake of these tenants. So, and we believe it would be in the best interest of not only Hendricks Commercial Properties, but also the flourishing of these establishments and the city of Beloit as well, to not have citizens or people treating the stalls in front of these establishments as maybe perhaps public parking like you'd find between 3rd and 4th Street. So, thank you.
And Councilor Levy, your question.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple of questions that I have. So you said there's other parking areas down there that are not coincided with their ordinances or something? And I guess my question is, that's something that, is there any other ones that we need to catch to make sure that, and you're tying everything in now, right? To make sure that everything matches.
Everything in this section of West Grand, we are tidying up.
Okay, because I'm thinking if that's out of line, do we have other parking down there that's not in line as well? But that was just a question I have. But then the other one that I have is the 15-minute parking. I mean, I understand that, but as far as enforcing that, I mean, I look to the police and say, is that really going to be enforced? Or because 15 minutes is like not long at all, but I'm just wondering if someone camps in there all day, who would know that they camped in there all day except, and I'm sorry to be asking these questions.
I'm sorry. I was just saying for clarification, I know there are two different questions. Could you answer one at a time, please?
Sure. The first question, I'll answer that we are always trying to improve the index of special locations, and we do have some work to be done in that regard. It just takes an awful lot of work. So we are getting to each part that we can as quickly as we can. With regard to the second question, we do have employees that are community service officers who do handle the parking enforcement, and so we do routinely kind of patrol in that area, and we will be enforcing the violations as we see them.
Any other questions? Did you have a question, Vice President Forbes? No. Okay. I just have one question. Are residents going to be notified, or the people in the area going to be notified about this about the process?
So prior to our meeting at TRC, we sent a notice to all property owners on the southwest side of Grand Avenue between the river and would that be 4th Street? So basically the Chester Square Mall area.
I just wanted the businesses and people where that parking is taking place, that they're aware of what's happening.
I'll note that we did send that out and nobody showed up to Traffic Review Committee to comment on this.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Hopefully someone's watching tonight if they're going down there or if they work there. At this time, we have a motion and a second to suspend the rules for this ordinance. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
Madam President, you now need to vote on the merits of the ordinance itself.
Okay, so can I please have a motion?
I so move.
Motioned by Vice President Forbeck. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Anderson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
8F is consideration of ordinance number 3776, establishing all-way stop control at Bluff Street and St. Lawrence Avenue.
Our city engineer, Scott Prindeville, will give us a presentation.
Chelsea Windmuller Schmidt of 720 Bluff Street contacted engineering to request stop signs be installed on Bluff Street at St. Lawrence Avenue. Ms. Windmuller Schmidt requested this change due to the number of accidents she has witnessed at this intersection. Currently, there's a stop sign on St. Lawrence, but not on Bluff. Engineering staff took an initial look at this request, and we noted that there is a significant accident history which may potentially warrant an all-way stop sign. Due to these preliminary findings, we retained the services of traffic analysis and design to perform a traffic study of the intersection. The findings of the study indicate that the traffic volumes are not high enough to warrant all-way stop control. However, the findings did find that the warrants for accidents are met. That warrant is a minimum, there needs to be 5 accidents a year that could be corrected by the installation of an all-way stop sign. So that warrant was met in 2017 with 5 accidents and 2018 with 6 accidents. So the recommendation of the traffic study was to install all-way stop control at this intersection due to meeting that accident warrant. This was taken to TRC, and TRC, Traffic Review Committee, voted unanimously to recommend approval of the all-way stop control at Bluff Street and St. Lawrence. I will also note that prior to Traffic Review Committee meeting, we did send a notice out to all residents within 1 block of that intersection.
Thank you very much. This is a first reading of this ordinance. Is there a motion to lay the ordinance over for a second reading? Moved by Vice President Forbeck. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Terrell. Are there any questions or discussion? And I just want to say the traffic review was unanimous, and I will certainly support that. Hope my colleagues do too. So at this time, there's a motion and a second to lay the ordinance over for a second reading. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
8G is consideration of ordinance number 3775, establishing a crosswalk at White Avenue and LaSalle Street.
The city engineer, Scott Prindiville, will continue to present.
Yes, Brittany Keys of 1611 East Ridge Road originally reached out to the city requesting a crosswalk be installed on White Avenue on the west side of Milwaukee Road. That's the intersection of White and Milwaukee. This request was made in an attempt to provide a safer condition for pedestrians utilizing the sidewalk on the north side of White or Milwaukee to be able to cross White and head south on Milwaukee towards Todd School. Due to the geometry and limited sight lines at this intersection, staff was not supportive of a crosswalk at this location, and after further discussion with Ms. Keys, the request was modified to be at the intersection of White and LaSalle. LaSalle is the next block west. There are currently no painted or signed crosswalks along Milwaukee/White between Prairie and Lee Lane. This item also went to Traffic Review Committee and was also voted unanimously to recommend approval of the crosswalk in this location.
Thank you. This is a first reading of the ordinance. Is there a motion to lay the ordinance over for a second reading?
I so move.
Moved by Vice President Forbeck. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Terrell. Are there any questions or discussion? Vice President Forbeck and then Councilor Blakely.
I think this is wonderful, and Lord knows we need to do something about how busy and how quickly the traffic moves there. I'm just wondering, when we say add a crosswalk, is there going to be one of those signs that you see in some cities that, show that a pedestrian is there? Or is it just going to be striped as, I guess, the usual?
So if this passes, this would be a painted crosswalk in the roadway, so paint on the pavement, and then a standard crosswalk sign, which is a diamond-shaped sign with a person on it and an arrow pointing down towards the crosswalk. This is not a crosswalk that would have any sort of flashing light.
Could a citizen, after we have this for a while and see how it works. I don't know how the rest of it works. Could somebody sort of request that there be something else to aid in the cars knowing that this is a crosswalk here?
A citizen could always talk to engineering about any item like that. Generally, you need certain pedestrian volumes in order to have a recommendation to install lighting.
Okay, thank you so much for your information.
Welcome.
Counselor Blakely.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I am very happy that there is going to be a crosswalk just a little further west, as you described. That seems so sensible to me. So thank you to the engineering department and to Traffic Review Committee. I really welcome it.
Any other discussion or comments? I would just like to thank former Councilor Keys for her concern and input on this item. And I would like to uphold the Traffic Review Committee's unanimous decision. At this time, there's a motion and a second to lay the ordinance over for a second reading. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
Item 9 is appointments. The individuals named below have been nominated for a seat on a city board, committee, or commission. Each nomination is subject to confirmation by the city council. Approval of appointment will be accomplished by one motion unless a councilor member requests to take up a nomination separately, in which event the nomination will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
May I please have a motion to approve the appointments as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Terrell. Second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Forbeck. Are there any questions or discussion? I just want to mention that all our volunteers are appreciated. We had Jay Edwards to interview with the Plan Commission earlier today, and I just want to say that we are truly excited about him joining this particular group, and hopefully that others will be encouraged to apply as well. So at this time, we have a motion and a second to approve the appointments. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
Item 10 is councilor activities and upcoming events.
Okay, I think we'll start with Councilor Blakely today.
Thank you, Madam President. I had a chance to attend the MLK commemorative breakfast yesterday up at the Eclipse Center. It was a huge crowd of people there for that important occasion. Omar Finley, an entrepreneur and youth supporter from Georgia, was the keynote speaker. And the whole event was pretty much organized by Regina Hendricks and Michelle Hendricks-Nora. There were many, many youth from Beloit who performed at the event. We had dancers from the Nightingales. We had a young man who led the way on that. There was a student, Kamani Ford, who led the singing of the African American national anthem. That was very moving. But many youth from the community were there, including student Kamani Ford. Oh, I just mentioned her. She led the singing of the anthem. So I was very proud to be a part of that event. Aramark did a great job with the food service, so that went smoothly. And the theme was Be the Change. That's an important thing for all of us to keep in mind as we move forward. I have one other quick thing.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you. On this coming Thursday, January 19th, Jumpstart is holding an accelerator pitch organized by Gina Stevens at Beloit Public Library from 5 to 7:30. Admission is free to be a member of the audience, but you do need to register ahead of time. So look online under Jumpstart Accelerator Pitch and let them know you'd like to be in on that and support these young entrepreneurs who are trying out their ideas on a crowd. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Blakely. Next, Councilor Levy.
Thank you, Madam President. I would also like to echo the activities that went on yesterday for the Martin Luther King Jr. Celebrations. But I would also encourage us as a nation, as a world, as a city, to continue to carry that spirit throughout the year. I know a lot of times that day gets set aside for recognition and celebrations, but I think if we look within our own city, we have a lot of things to celebrate. We do come together often to do celebrations throughout the year, and I think that's what's huge, that we don't wait till one time a year. And I hope no one takes it the wrong way that I have a problem with that, because I don't. I think we should set aside to honor Dr. King, but I want to make sure that we carry that spirit throughout the year, because truly that's what he would do. Not just say celebrate it on my birthday, but let's make sure we're making a difference throughout the year. The title or the theme could not have been more appropriate. Be the change. And I like what they kept saying is the change starts within us. If we see something wrong, address it. If we see something that need to be improved upon, do it. But the only way this world is going to change is we have to find it, and we have to do it within ourselves. So as we change into coming in with a new city manager, we often say up here what a great staff we have, what a great city we have, and we do. But what really hits home for me is when you have candidates who come from all over, and they sit in and they talk to the council and they say, we will tell you one thing: the staff that you have at the city is truly top-notch. So we can say it, but to me, it's a greater impact when you have people who don't know them, who sit in a room with them for a little while and come back and say, you have a great staff. So kudos to our staff, and not only the department heads, but to everyone who works for the city, because you give your time, you give your energy to help make the city what it is, and I, for one, greatly appreciate it. And if we're going to talk about be the change, and if we want Beloit's image to change, we have to tout that message. We have to carry that message as well. So I want to thank everybody for what they do, the council. I want to thank all of you for what you do each and every day, because the last couple of weeks, I think I have spent more time with everybody here than I have at home. And it's been a good time. And I think, and I know I'm going on a little bit longer here, but this is what happens when I save my time and I have 4 meetings where I have no comments, when I have comments. But I think it shows to the public that we can work together, we can have fruitful discussion, and picking these candidates and going through this process is not like when we narrowed it down to 3 that all of us, we got the same 3. No, we hashed it out, and we had a good discussion, and we got to the ones that we want, but we worked together, and we could be disagreeable, but when we get up from the table, we're doing what's in the best interest of the city, and that's what I appreciate. Cannot thank Beth enough for all that she's done during this process, in keeping, the city running, the council functioning, and we could be difficult at times, I know that, and then helping us guide us through the city manager search. Huge task for a lot of people who don't know. You can call Beth at 9 o'clock at night, and she's answering, and I'm like, stop working. Well, I got stuff that needs to get done. So I appreciate, for one, all the work that you continue to do and that you've done during this time as well. So those are my comments.
Thank you, Councilor Levy. Next, Councilor Anderson.
Thank you. I just want to echo a lot of the stuff Councilor Levy said. It was great to go to the MLK events. We had, not only the commemorative breakfast, but there's a event at the public library concerning Black citizens. It was really good to see both those events take place, and it really just, I think I've said this before when we've had a lot of events going on, but I think we're really lucky in Beloit. We have so much going on here, and I know people say that there's nothing to do here, but I would push back on that immediately. There's so much going on here in the city of Beloit. We have a great community, and it's definitely unique. Beth, you've been doing a great job. We're probably all gonna just shout you out here for a few minutes. Yes. And after that, we'll be mad at you for giving us legal advice. So that's kind of how it goes here. But thank you for all you've been doing here, stepping up and really, wearing 2 hats. Literally, I got 2 tags right there. So you've been doing a great job. And to Jerry, who I think we're all just going to call him Jerry and not use his last name, because I think all of us are struggling to say it. I'm very excited for him to get started here in the city of Beloit. I think he's going to mesh with our staff really well. We've got great department heads, and I think it's going to be a great team effort. And the next 3 to 5 years is going to be very exciting. So I think it's going to be great to see him be part of that, and see where this council goes in the future. And with that ends my comments.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Anderson. We'll go with Councilor Day.
changing it up here.
Changing it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just going to talk about the city manager process, but just a couple things to add. But, you know, Beth, thank you for your leadership on this. We've been doing this for several weeks, months. She's done a great job, everybody, so you know that. And then we got to give a shout out to Patty from Baker Tilly, because she also helped us a lot, I think. And then for the public and the staff, when you got a chance to interview with Jerry and you gave us the comments, and the public did too, we actually took that into the second round of interviews, and we used that information, some of the questions and concerns, and that was pretty much our we put guidelines together in questions that we used to conduct that interview. So it was extremely important, and I think it really benefited us. It helped us argue a little bit about who we wanted, but then it helped us also to solidify who we wanted along with the public and the staff. So I really appreciate the input that everybody gave us, because it helped. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Day. Well said. Councilor Terrell.
All right, so first, I got a couple things. Yesterday, Monday, I attended the Dr. Martin Luther King, they quoted it, "Unity is up to all of us." It was a public gathering held at the Beloit Public Library, hosted by the concerned black citizens. There was a panel of 5 people who spoke on the importance of MLK Day and what it means to the progress made in modern day America, along with some of the struggles and hurdles that we still face today. But we all got to agree things have gotten better since his days, and that was all a part of his dream, and we still got a lot more work to do. I got up and spoke, said a couple words. I was really backing up Deshaun Isabel, who was one of the young people on the panel. He was speaking on young people in general, the youth, our community leaders, and some of what I say all the time is that we shouldn't wait for events or something bad to happen to get behind some of the things that a lot of community leaders are trying to do. There are people out there in the grassroots who are trying to make things work for the youth in our public, our people, and trying to make the city safer, and we got to get behind them and always support them, and not wait till election time to feel like we have to get their support on things. So I spoke on that, and as well as with the other people on the panel and the things they spoke on, their expertise, it was very well welcome, and definitely appreciated that. I'm also very excited about Jerry. Jerry. I'm just kidding. I'm very excited about him coming in. His energy and it seems like his passion, his everything that he spoke to the public about, spoke to us about. I was just excited about very excited about him, and it was just some things that he said that interest me, and it's going to be a lot of fun working with him, and I think we're going to get the city moving forward with him, and it's going to be in a unique way, and I think a lot of people are looking forward to it. And last but not least, Beth, the work you have done has been tremendous, and I also wanted to say to you that the day that we actually voted to bring you in, I unfortunately was one of those who voted against you, and I talked to you personally after that, and I told you it wasn't really anything against you. It was just some questions that I had, but after I talked to you, and the minute that I walked out of that room, I felt bad. All the way up until this day, I felt terrible, because I immediately knew you was gonna do some good work, and you definitely have, and I speak highly on you to everybody, even the people that might have had doubts in the past. I've definitely spoke highly on you. I will always have your back from here going forward, and I love the work that you have done, not only with the council, but the staff, and just backing us up every way that you could. So if it was one time that I felt like I was wrong, it was that time, and I definitely owe you an apology for it. I know you wasn't looking for it, but I feel like I just got to give it to you, because like I say, I felt bad about it, and you have definitely done some great things for us. And it's so much I want to say, but you've been a champion for us, and I definitely appreciate you a lot. I will always have your back, and just know that. So that ends my comments there, and thank you.
And I echo that sentiment too. And I have to say, when I have to correct, I think it was Council Levy said when I call her at 9 o'clock, I have to say when I call her midnight, I was like, you're still up? Because we know that the city business has to go on, and Beth, you certainly have been the anchor with through all of this, and so we truly, truly appreciate you. Next, Vice President Forbeck. We're not done yet.
Not done yet. So Beth, here is another thank you. And right. Kudos to you. And I have to say, I want to share with the public something that really meant a lot to me, that when you have really our 7, when we interviewed our 7, much less when we sifted and winnowed down to 3, but when you have constant people just quietly saying, boy, your city shows so well, and they're interested in our diversity, in how we are managing to be together and work together. I mean, we were getting compliments from these people from really all over the nation. So sometimes I think we hang our head too much in Beloit, and let's realize that we're going to welcome Jerry, and he's going to be great, but he's also really excited, and he has said he feels privileged to be able to come to work with us in Beloit. So I think our citizens need to sort of put their head up too and say good. So, and also to my fellow counselors, I bragged you up to everybody since we left last Saturday. We really have spent hours and hours and hours together thinking and concentrating and being concerned and worried. We just want to do the best for our Beloiters. And so I think we did. We certainly put our heart and soul into this decision. So anyway, it's been a privilege. Thank you.
Yeah, and I have a report, but I just want to let the public know that we have put a lot of time, and I may say this again in the report, I'm not sure, but we put a lot of time and hours in it, and you wouldn't believe. So if I'm off base a little bit tonight, or any of us are with comments, we've spent a lot of time together to make sure that we get it right, and to make sure that your voices are heard, and make sure that we went through every bit of input, believe me. But we just are so glad that our public and all of our residents in the city of Beloit have been involved in this process. That said, for my council activities, and there are many, I attended the Plan Commission meeting, the feasibility study meeting, the Wisconsin Housing Preservation Corporation Board meeting, the GBDC Annual Board meeting, the GBDC Executive Committee meeting, the ARPA meeting, and some of my fellow counselors have been through to some of these with me as well, the Appointment Review Committee meeting, and I participated in the interviews for the city manager position. I attended the community forum, as we all did, the MLK breakfast at the Eclipse Center. I went to the MLK ceremony at the Beloit Public Library. So along with my colleagues, say that again, we have been very busy and putting in a lot of long hours for our residents here in the city of Beloit. Next, I would like to congratulate Jerry Gabrielatos on being selected as our Beloit City Manager. I want to take a moment to share some information about him. Jerry began his career in local government by serving in various staff roles for members of the Chicago City Council, including Chief of Staff. Jerry has over 7 years of city management experience, having served as Assistant City Manager and Interim City Manager in Albert Lee, Minnesota, and as City Manager in Wesleyan, Oregon. He holds a bachelor's degree from Tulane University, where he studied political science and history. Jerry has a master's in public policy and administration from Northwestern University. That said, this is really, really an exciting time for the city. And I know that Jerry is thrilled to be coming to Beloit, and we are just as thrilled to have you, Jerry, if you're watching. We're looking forward to seeing our new city manager out and about throughout our community and building relationships with everyone. Next, I want to wish all the best to the candidates, Casey Bradley and Blaine Wing. I also want to give special thanks again to our public, City Council, City staff, and Interim City Manager Beth Kruger, because we would not be able to do this without you. We thank all of you for your hard work and assistance throughout this entire process. Together, we did a great job. So this ends my counselor report for this evening. Next, we'll go on to item 11. Okay. At this time, if we could all stand. Beth? Beth, can we have you stand up? Put you in front. Yeah. The president says speech, Beth, no. And the council.
Item 11 is city manager presentation.
If I could, during the city manager presentation, I just want to echo the thoughts about the staff. Since Lori's departure, we have all pitched in quite a deal to, quite a bit in order to make sure the city runs effectively. And I know the department heads were extremely grateful to be able to participate in the process and be able to provide that feedback to you. I'm appreciative of the thanks, and I'm very moved by that. And I would behoove, I can't even fumble. I'm fumbling over my words. So it's terrible. But I just want to thank all the department heads too, because they've all pitched in when they were needed and have helped along the way, because doing all of this work is certainly not a one-woman job. So I just want to make sure that they know that they are appreciated and thanked. And again, I just want to thank you for the lovely words. I will very much appreciate them, and I thank you very much.
And Beth, I know you're talking about the staff, but it's really nice when you have staff come up to you and also say, throughout this process, that the interim city manager has really helped and didn't just give direction, but joined in. So thank you. That said, we'll go on to item 12.
12 is reports from boards and city officers. 12A is consideration of resolution 2023-010, extending the appointment of an interim city manager.
As it is indicated in the staff report, Attorney Krieger was appointed as interim city manager, and it was effective on August 5th of 2022. State law requires that appointment be renewed if it extends longer than 6 months. Because we're working on the transition for the next city manager, this will fill the gap until the new city manager is ready to start his first day. The resolution authorized Attorney Krieger to act as the interim city manager until that time. May I please have a motion to approve the resolution? Moved by Councilor Terrell, seconded by Vice President Forbeck. Are there any questions or discussion?
No.
At this time, we have a motion and a second to approve the appointments. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
Item 13 is adjournment.
May I please have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilor Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Forbeck. Are there any questions or discussion? At this time, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes, and we are now adjourned. This ends our council meeting for this evening.
All right.